In many real-life situations, you have to calculate metrics year to date, and this is especially true for finance roles within a company. The problem with that is that when you move from one year to the other, for example from 2020 to 2021, you have to reset all your formulas, change the ranges, etc. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you a few formulas that will allow you to write the formula one time and drag it, and it will work for every instance. So we're going to use sum, offset, and Sumproduct. Let's look at our example. I have here quantity and price for 2020, 2021, and January 2022. So the first thing I need to do is calculate the year-to-date quantity. So let's start with the manual way, and then we will see how to avoid the problems that we face when we do it manually. So to do year-to-date quantity, I'm just going to do equal sum, open parentheses, and then I can select my cell B2, column, and then B2. Let's close the parentheses. So that's obviously 18. Here we're going to use F4 so we can drag the formula. So if I drag it to February, for example, you can see it's the sum of B2 to C2. Let's drag it over, and once we reach January 2021, we want actually the formula to reset to 701. In this case, it's not resetting. It is accumulating the data from the beginning. So the problem I have is that in January 2021, I have to change my range again, and then I have to drag it again, and in January 2022, I face the same problem. And sometimes you give this file to somebody else, the person will think that this formula can be dragged all over, and the person will make a mistake because he or she will just drag it. So let's look at a way to be able to circumvent this problem. If you see here, this B2, C2, etc. is fine. The problem I'm facing when I go to January 2021 is that I want this B2 that I had to adjust to N2. So how do I do that? Basically, you can use the offset formula. So let's just copy paste this, Control C, escape. Let's go here. Let's go to the formula bar and paste it. Instead of B2, let's write an offset formula. So we will do offset. The reference is actually B2. The rows, how many rows do I want to move from B2? Let's assume I don't want to move any row and I don't want to move any column because I am fine with this cell. Now if I do comma and I use the height is the number of rows I want to take. Here I only have one row, so I'm just going to put 1, which is the minimum, and we need to do the width. The width is what is important because it will tell me how many columns I want to take. In this case, I'm just going to start with 1, which means I want to take one cell, which is B2. We close the parentheses, we do enter, we get the same number. Now the problem I have is that this I need to change. So let's try a few combinations. If I put 0, it's not gonna work because I cannot have 0 columns. I need to have at least one column and one row, which is one cell. So that doesn't work. 1 will work. Let's try -1. -1, if you noticed, it also gives the right answer, correct? So now if I drag this here, instead of -1, what I want for the second cell is -2. Why do I want -2? If you think about it, we start at C2. I don't want to move any row or any column. I want to take one row, and if I want to take two columns, it means I will take 18 and 446. If I just drag it and change this to -3, what happens here? Let's go and watch the same thing with evaluate formula. So here we have evaluate formula. what happens is I start at D2. I want to move 0 rows, 0 columns. I want 1 row, and I want to go to take 3 cells from the left. So 1, 2, and 3. So we do evaluate. You can see we get B2 to D2, right? And then you can see B2 to D2 stays, and we get the sum. So what should I do to get -1, -2, -3? Basically, I can use a helper column. So I can just put 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, and then refer to this cell and take the numbers. But assume like here I don't have space. So what I could do is use this. Let's look at the format of Jan 2020. So here it is a date. I have the 1st of Jan 2020. Basically, the months here is 1, the months here is 2, 3, 4, and so on. So if I think about it, I can use the months to adjust my formula. So here, let's do minus months of January 2020, close parentheses, and then let's drag the formula. We drag it to December. You can see we get the same numbers. Now, will it work for Jan? Yes, it works. Why is it working? Because here, what happened is my months becomes 1 here again. So I am starting from this cell, and then I want to move 0 rows, 0 columns. I want to take 1 row, and then here I want to take 1 column because the months is 1. So that takes 701. And then again, here it will take 2 columns. So this is why you get the sum. So now we have fixed our first formula. Let's try to do the price now. The price is a bit more tricky. Why? Because if I want to get the price, I need to calculate my revenues and divide them by the quantities, right? So let's try to calculate the revenues first. I'm just gonna do this cell times this cell, and then we can drag this. That's easy. And manually, if I want to do the price, what I will do is sum, same thing. We'll do this column B4 divided by my cumulative quantity. In this case, it's 18. In the next one, my cumulative quantity is 464, which is 18 plus 446, and so on. We're just gonna use the F4 here to put the dollar sign so we can drag it. And if we drag it till December, we are fine. Problem will come in January. If I go to January, I get 64, which obviously is not correct because we restart a year, and here we need to get 8. So the same issue will happen. I will have to shrink my range, and then I'll have to copy paste the formula till here. And for January 2022, I would have to shrink my range. So this is how it is. Now here I have two problems. The first problem, I don't want a helper cell, a revenue, and so on. So this B2 times B3, I don't want it. And if you see, here we're doing, for example, in this cell for February, we have B2 times B3 plus C2 times C3, and so on, right? So that's my first issue. My second issue is just that I want to use the right quantity, which is fine. So what can I write instead of this sum to be able to avoid this helper column? Basically, if you remember, what is the formula in Excel that allows you to do a sum of multiplications? It is Sumproduct. So let's try first to write the Sumproduct. Sumproduct. My first array is obviously this. We'll have the column to do B2 times B3, column B3, close parentheses, and then we can divide it by the cumulative quantity, so that's fine. We get 6. We need to use F4 Now you're used to it, so we can drag the formula. So here, for example, I can drag the formula and so on, but I need to find a way that if I go to January 2021, I won't have the same issue, because look, if I drag it to here, you see I get 64.4. So to make the range shrink, we can use offset. Let's start with the first one. If you remember from quantity, we did it. So we do offset. I'll open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and within offset we can write the reference is B2 rows. I don't want to move any rows up or down, any columns up or down. The height is 1, which is at least one row. And then for the width, let's put 1 for now to get the same thing. As you know from before, if I do it -1, it is equal. And instead of this -1, here I would need -2 and so on. We can use the months. So let's use the months here. And let's select January 2020 and do enter. So I still get the same answer, right? Now I need to do the same thing for this B3, because we only did it for the quantity. We need to do it for the price, because remember here, if I click, I want to do 18 times 6 plus 446 times 9, right? So for both of them, I need to make sure that I start here and here, and then I take 2 columns. So let's go back here and let's write the formula again. Here, another offset, open close parenthesis. Inside the offset, we start with the price, comma, 0 row, 0 column, 1 height, and then the width is minus my months. We close parenthesis, enter, and then now we can drag the formula. You can see that here it works. We get the same values, and here it works also. So this is how you can do year-to-date numbers with the offset formula. As you can see, the offset formula is very useful for pros. You won't have to change any range, etc. in January. So let me know, especially for those of you who are doing a lot of year-to-date calculations, whether this is what you've been doing or have you been changing the ranges every January. And as usual, please like this video, press on the thumb up button and subscribe to the channel.